Coming to you from Dynatrace Perform in Las Vegas, it's Pure Performance.
Hello from Dynatrace Perform 2019 in Las Vegas. I'm Andy Grabner, and this is Up Close and Personal with Product Management on Pure Performance. I want to introduce my guest, Sonja. Hey, Sonja Chevre, actually. I'm sorry for that. Hey, Sonja, you just presented some great stuff. I just catch you here outside of the breakout room. First of all, welcome to Vegas.
Thank you, Andy. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and I think we have a little bit of background noise. Hopefully that will be okay for the listeners. But so you just came out of the session. Can you quickly tell us what the session was about and what people have actually missed that couldn't attend the session?
Sure. So the session was called Implementing Performance as Self-Service. It was together with Summit from Intuit. So Summit is a regular speaker at Perform. We really like his stories because he has been an classic APM user with Dynatrace Appmon, and now he has shown great progress with his company moving toward a more dynamic approach and really also relying on the powerful feature of Dynatrace to help the whole organization.
That's pretty cool. So Intuit, where Summit is actually working, that's the company behind TurboTax and some other big services out there for folks that are not maybe living in the US and don't know them. So they have millions of users, and it's great that we saw his progression from Appmon. I think last year I did a session with him where he showed how he integrated Dynatrace in CI/CD and now Appmon in CI/CD, and now he moved over to Dynatrace.
Yeah, and the next step for him was he was always saying, with Appmon, there were some experts in performance, and you always had to go talk to this expert. And you know as well as I do that doesn't scale, right? You have teams that are growing, more challenges for the business. You want to push releases quickly out to the public, and you cannot just wait to rely on 5 guys that have the knowledge about performance. That's something that needs to be built in with the organization. And with Dynatrace, they have really managed to develop this approach of performance as self-service, meaning all the teams are able to understand the information and also to react on it thanks to our AI root cause problem detection. That's really useful to them.
Pretty cool. So basically it's kind of breaking up the old center of performance excellent teams, right? Because where everybody was just, you went to the expert of the COE, and then now you have, as you said,
you have to wait for them because they were busy, of course, and making everything slowly. And now just people can go to Dynatrace. Now they don't even have to go to Dynatrace. They receive proactive notification about a problem. The developers know what's going on in production. They can already react on it and understand the source code without having to catch an expert to tell them what the root cause is.
That's pretty cool. And so did he show, what else did people miss? I mean, did he have some best practices, things? Did he talk about
so he was also talking about testing, because people always have the same challenge with testing. You are testing something, but we don't have the real production data and you don't have the real use cases, so you have to write tests assuming what the user will do. And one great thing that they are doing, they are reusing the data from production to generate test data, but not only data, but also tests. So they have the use case, they analyze from the websites, from all the data, where the people are clicking, how they're using the applications, and they're able to reuse those patterns to generate tests for the pre-production environment.
That's awesome. Yeah. And they built this on their own, or how does this work?
Yeah, so they built this on their own, and they also have a test framework that they have built themselves called Karate, which is open source, and it sounds really interesting. I think people should check this out.
So Karate, for people that want to follow up on that, open source, an open source testing framework from Intuit. Right? That's pretty cool. So you mentioned the recording of the data. I think, didn't we too also work with a company recently? Maybe we want to give them a little shout out.
Yeah, that's right. There's a company called Probit in Europe that is a startup doing also that kind of things based on the Dynatrace data. So on the Dynatrace real user monitoring data, they are able to generate also test patterns based on those data. So you really have the possibility to test in pre-production what is really being used in production, and not maybe some feature that nobody is using, but you think it's really important to test it, but you really get to test the thing that people are really using. And you get this data, this test information live and automatically updated.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. So he told some stories, obviously, and you from a product management side, I assume you had some tips and tricks, some best practices, some features that maybe people were not aware of that Dynatrace actually has when it comes to performance engineering.
Yes, so I try to focus on the notification, like for example on Slack, being able to add the Slack notification in Dynatrace when a problem happens to make sure that the developers get the information directly, to pass the information on the teams, not having to wait for people to log into Dynatrace to look at the data, but being practically informed. And really not only to operation, but to developers, because they are the owner of the code, so they should know what happens in production with the codes. Another part that I refocused were the implementation of load testing with Dynatrace and how to analyze the load test, being able to compare them with some powerful features in Dynatrace.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like that feature. And all the diagnostic features all the diagnostic screens we now have in Dynatrace, right, where you can then say, show me the response time hotspot, compare two time frames.
Exactly. What happens between those two releases, those two time frames? You can filter per request attribute. So you have really many capability for the test, for the analysis. And then of course you can again deep down to the data, deep down to the code, deep down to everything that you need to know. And you can also set baselines for your test in production and in pre-production, and being notified also automatically when some tests start to take more time than you would expect.
So that means actually while you run your tests, you can use the anomaly detection, the custom alerts in Dynatrace to get proactive notifications while the test is running, and maybe use this information to either abort the test early if you already know something
exactly
is wrong,
because
right?
you don't want to use resources for a test that you already know is being wrong, hasn't some issue, or you can react and analyze after that what went wrong.
I think this is actually something we showed at the hot day. I did a hot day on continuous performance with Jenkins, and Henrik from Neodis, from one of our partners, he also joined, and he actually showed now that Neodis is automatically generating custom alerts before they start the load test based on their thresholds, and then automatically taking the Dynatrace alerts as they come in through the test to maybe abort the test early. So
this is great stuff. They have done a nice job in their integration.
Yeah. Hey, Sonja, just to wrap it up, so you are the technical product manager responsible for all the performance engineering integrations. I think there have been some new integrations kind of described on the doc page, also the blogs. Is there something that you can tell people what they should look for on the doc pages, on the blogs, in case they want to learn more? Yeah,
they should look for, so we have an article, the section in the documentation is integrate with Dynatrace, and we have a section for load testing, so a general document on load testing, how to tag your load tests, how to analyze them, that really put all the pointer also to all the great job you have been doing with the blogs and the performance clinics. So that's kind of the main page to look as a start when integration with load testing. And then we have specific pages for load runner, for Gmeter, and link to Neodis integration.
That's pretty cool. Hey, and before we close it, I think just as most of the sessions here in this particular space, like in the DevOps NoOps space, we started to come up with a couple of metrics that people actually collected based on the Autonomous Cloud Survey. So for folks that are listening, there's a survey on the Perform app, right, on the Perform mobile app, but I believe there's also a public link where people can fill out the Autonomous Cloud Survey. And I think I just glancing, remembering kind of what kind of metrics were in there that I think Sumit also presented. Something like a dev to ops ratio, I believe he talked about this.
Yeah, exactly. That was on one of the first slides that we showed to really show that it's really important to also to have the teams and the releases. One of the key points on that slide was also the number of releases they were able to do per sprint, because we want to release faster and faster. The ratio dev to ops, I think it was 4:1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. That's cool.
Nice.
All right. So just a reminder, folks, if you're interested in these surveys, because it gives you a way to evaluate yourself, like where you are and where you might be able to go if you make some improvements on automation using Dynatrace.
Are you giving people some medals? Like if you reach that you know, like the best in each categories, or goals, you know, like category. When you are in that category, you should think of going to the next category.
That's a good point. We have to think about that. But just a reminder, you know, fill it out. If you are a Perform, go to the Perform app, or otherwise just look for it. I'm sure we'll post a link somewhere. Hey, thank you, Sonja.
Thank you, Andy.
Sorry for messing up the name in the beginning in the intro. Sonja Chevre from the technical product management team here in Linz. Well, this is for Pure Performance. I'm Andy Gredner. Thank you.